Jeff Kerr, what's up, man? How you doing on this happy hour Friday edition?
Not so much of a happy hour for me, Mike. It's been pretty crazy today, I gotta admit.
Busy day, busy NFL, always is, as we told you. By the way, June 1st, that date will be coming up by the next time we are on the air. That June 1st date will have hit, so we'll have a lot next week with Jeff as well. But over at CBSSports.com, Jeff Kerr, you wrote about Darius Slay and DeVonta Smith. And this is kind of an interesting story because Smith is walking right in, and him and Slay already seem to be helping each other out.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty revealing what Darius Slay said the other day. I think Days and Garrett from NBC Sports Philly asked him the question about DeVonta Smith and, how he's looking. And he said, he's willing to give him tips. And he said DeVonta Smith's helping him out. He's helping DeVonta Smith out. And really the end game is both for getting each other better. And Darius Slay said, look, I've been in the league a long time. He has the most pass deflections in the NFL since he arrived in 2013. And we got to be honest here. Darius Slay is still a very good quarterback. He's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and he's going to help out DeVonta Smith. And I like what he said. DeVonta Smith is asking him for tips. Greg Ward's asking him for tips, and he's willing to provide it. And he said both are doing the same thing to him. And, I think it's going to make DeVonta Smith great. And it's going to keep Darius Slay among one of the game's best corners.
Why do we think that Slay slipped a little last year? Did he slip a little last year?
It might have been Jim Schwartz's defense. I don't want to think that. Maybe it was because they didn't have a number 2 cornerback there. Maybe it was his first year in a new system. I just feel like the Eagles kind of put him on an island in a lot of games because he played really well at the beginning of the season. And then all of a sudden – you put him against DK Metcalf, you put him against Devonta Adams, and you saw the result. You saw back-to-back poor performances there. And, Darius Slay, his name is Big Play Slay, but he didn't really have that many big plays last year. He only had 1 interception. I think it was the first year since his rookie year, he may not have had multiple interceptions in a season. The pass deflections were down. I think he only had 10 last year. Compared to about 15 to 18 in previous years. So, yeah, it was overall a down year for Darius Slay. I don't necessarily feel it's going to replicate because he is only 30 years old. I don't think his performance is going to decline. I think he's willing to prove that he can play in a zone coverage scheme, and I think he's going to have a big year this year. I really do.
Right, because, Jeff, this is interesting. Like, when they got Slay last year, it wasn't like, hey, we got this easy trade offer that is a win for us. They got him because they felt they were close, right? I mean, that's the reason they went out and got Darius Slay. It's, hey, we need a number 1 corner on this team because that's what we're missing. So 1 year ago at this time, they felt they were a Super Bowl contender, and now all of a sudden here we are where people are like, he's not the same player. It's funny how quickly things change in this league.
Yeah, it really is. And you know what upset me when they got Darius Slay? I've never been a fan of teams that do this. And I think the Phillies made me realize this 10 years ago. Why would you – remember the Phillies traded Cliff Lee after they acquired Roy Halladay? It was like the Eagles with Malcolm Jenkins. Why would you get rid of Malcolm Jenkins when you just got Darius Slay? Wouldn't you rather have both of them? Like, I don't get it. Why would you make one position worse to make another one better? I never understood the logic in that move when they got rid of Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins was still an elite player last year with the New Orleans Saints. Has his game been declining? Yeah, it has been a little bit, but I'm not going to go out of my way to say that the Eagles didn't need him in their secondary last year because that's just simply not true.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, NFC East conversation and some NFC East stuff. I guess kind of by proxy is Carson Wentz, who addressed fixing some issues from last season. He talked about a lot of pressure. There's pressure following him. People are going to be paying attention. Is this guy cooked, or did he just need a change of scenery? So what are some revealing things from Carson Wentz this week?
Well, I like what he said, too. First I didn't know that, so thank you. He was clearly being sarcastic in that. He obviously knows what's going on. But look, with Carson Wentz, to me, it seems like he's a lot happier in Indianapolis. And, I don't want to say he got what he wanted, but he ultimately did. He got out of Philadelphia, and he got to a place where I feel like it's basically in the Colts handbook. Look, we have to every day say what a great job Carson Wentz has done and, how positive the leader he is in the locker room, how talented he is, maybe he didn't get that last year in Philadelphia. Maybe, they took the relationship for granted a little bit, and he got a little upset by that, especially with the Jalen Hurts stuff. But, I'm sure it is nice when guys like Darius Leonard, T.Y. Hilton, proven vets in this league, Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor, running backs across the board, Michael Pittman saying how great he is, this is the honeymoon phase of the Carson Wentz Colts marriage right now, and it's going really well. And look, I think Carson knows there's a lot of pressure attached to him this year. He knows he has to win. He knows this is his second and final shot to prove himself as an elite NFL quarterback, and he is with the coach that can get him there, and Frank Reich. So, yeah, he knows that. He's not – I don't want to say succumbing to it in any means. I just feel like it's not – what you got to worry about Jalen Hurts for? Or, how's Jalen Hurts looking today? It's hey, look, I'm Carson Wentz, and, I'm the Colts quarterback, and I'm going to get every opportunity to succeed here. But really, the pressure is going to come when he has a bad game in September.
All right, let's go into the NFC East. Let's go to Washington. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he has bounced all over the league, but apparently switching teams isn't all that difficult for him.
No, not at all. When you've been to 9 teams in 17 years, it's not difficult. And he's used to this by now. He's used to a change of scenery. He's used to not being the guy. Like Miami, they brought him in to be a bridge player. They didn't bring him in to be a starting quarterback. He just happened to end up being a pretty good starting quarterback for them when they were tanking. And then he ended up being the ultimate backup when, like, he was in Tampa Bay. He took Tua's job away at times. He took Jameis Winston's job away at times. I think he embraces his role as being, getting better in his late 30s. And I feel like he really wants to be a veteran leader more than anything. And this is going to be uncharted territory for him. He has not been the sole starting quarterback of this franchise, since 2016 with the Jets. And I think that was when he was one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL after he had his career year in 2015. So it's going to be very interesting to see Ryan Fitzpatrick at 39 kind of take these reins as the unquestioned starting quarterback in Washington. They're giving them all the weapons to succeed. But, I mean, he sounds the part. I mean, when you've been in the league 17 years, you kind of have to be, right?
You would think, and you're right. I mean, he seems to be the guy there, and they didn't draft a guy in the top part of that draft when they were picking like number 11 or wherever they were. No, they were a little further down than that, but they didn't take a quarterback like some people thought they might do to say, hey, let's get a guy ready. No, they're going with Fitzpatrick. And let me ask you, do you think they're a player for Julio Jones?
I don't think so, because I think they made all their additions this offseason. They got Curtis Samuel. I think he was their big free agent prize. They got Terry McLaurin. They got the Amy Brown. I mean, they have receivers there. They don't necessarily need Julio Jones. I'm sure they'll be like the Eagles. They do their due diligence on it, but I don't see them becoming a player. Honestly, if there's any team in the NFC East that probably would take Julio Jones right now, I mean, really, they all should, but it's probably the Eagles, because I just can't see the Giants doing it, and he doesn't want to go to the Cowboys. Washington, I'm sure that'll put them over the top, but I think they got enough weapons there. I think they're good right now.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, covers the NFL. We go inside the NFL Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays here on the Sports Bash, and I think another what about this Chua story? How bonkers is that he admitted essentially that he didn't know the playbook last year?
This is the same guy who said he didn't think like the NFL was going to be hard or this easy. now he doesn't know the playbook. I mean, come on, this is like quarterbacking 101. And I'll admit it. Chua owned up to it and said, "Look, it's my fault completely. I just didn't know it, but I'm vowing to fix it." And he still had a pretty good year, all things considered, with the Dolphins last year. I mean, really, he looked bad at times, but I feel like once this guy gets, I think Chua was a little more concerned about, is my hip okay? Can I move? Can I play football? I think
at K-12.
Now I think it's, let's dive into the playbook. Let's not do a simple concept here. Let's learn this complicated offense with this new offensive coordinator, or two offensive coordinators, I should say. Let's learn that. I'm fine mentally, physically. I got more weapons now, and I honestly think he's going to have a big year. When I ranked these quarterbacks in 2020, I thought Tua was going to be the best out of the three, and he was the worst. And I liked all three of them. I liked Tua. I liked Herbert. and I love Joe Burrow. And they were both all three of them were in the perfect situation for them. I think Tua's going to have a big year in 2020.
Yeah, see, I was not a big Tua guy. Was not a big Tua guy coming out. Too small, beat up, injury issues. Not talent-wise, just wasn't sure that he could withstand the punishment. We'll see. I mean, I don't know, man. He for him to come out and say, I didn't know. You're the leader of the team. You went out there and didn't know the playbook. That's not a great way to go into the locker room. But he can shut us all up, I guess, by having a big year. We will see there. Let me ask you about Brandon Brooks yesterday. He admitted that the team was trying to trade him. I thought that was interesting. But I loved when he got asked a question about coming back from this Achilles. And he said, I've already done this once, and I was the best guard in football, period. You know, he doesn't sound like a guy that has any reservations about returning from a second Achilles injury.
For a guy who, had his mental health issues and battled anxiety, he's confident. I love it, personally.
Right?
I love the confidence in him. Look, I've been there, done that. I'm still Brandon Brooks. I'm still a great right guard. In fact, I think Brandon Brooks is a little inspired by Landon Dickerson being here because he just reminds me of a guy who's going to say, look, this guy's coming in here to take my job. I am not letting this happen. I am going to be the best right guard in football again. And I honestly think Brandon Brooks coming back to the Eagles is bigger than Lane Johnson coming back, bigger than any injury they had last year. Brandon Brooks is the linchpin to this offensive line. He is that good. He is an all-pro right guard for a reason. And I feel like that, he is willing to stay in Philadelphia for as long as he can. I mean, he deserves every ounce of his contract right now, Mike.
Yeah, and look, they have an out in his deal in 2022. But if he comes back there and plays like he did before, this is a guy I don't want to say a career Eagle because obviously he didn't play his whole career here. But he has been a dominant contributor. And when, we had heard in the offseason on right here, Jeff Mosher was on with us and said, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him. And I'm thinking, they can't move him. I mean, he's the most dominant right guard in football. I get the salary restraints, but they figured out a way to keep him. So I don't know what they were thinking about trying to move a guy like that. That to me was a little surprising.
I think maybe a team called them and said, hey, look, what would it take to get Brandon Brooks? And maybe the Eagles considered it just because of the huge cap hit. I mean, I thought it would have been crazy on their part. I know guards you could say they're replaceable, but this is Brandon Brooks here. This isn't Isaac Seumalo, who, by the way, is a good guard in and of itself. But who would you replace Brandon Brooks with at this point?
That's a good question. Do you think they drafted Dickerson to replace him or to replace Kelsey?
I think they were drafted to replace whoever goes first, honestly. I mean, if Jason Kelsey decides to retire, then you put Landon Dickerson in at left guard or Isaac Seumalo at center. You put Landon Dickerson in at center and you keep Seumalo at left guard. But maybe the Eagles felt like, if Brandon Brooks has another injury, he's done and they can move on from him. And that's where Landon Dickerson slots in. But then you got to worry about where Kelsey is. So I honestly think Landon Dickerson is here to be the eventual heir apparent for Jason Kelsey whenever he does decide to retire, if he decides to retire anytime soon. I know he's been flirting with it each year, but he seems more dedicated to the game than ever. And I think he knows how good he actually is and how well he plays. I think when his play diminishes is when he actually decides to hang it up.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm very interested in where Dickerson lines up when they get to camp.
I am too. I honestly think they're going to play him everywhere. Left guard, center, right guard. I mean, they'll probably even play him at tackle.
I was just going to say
that Dickerson is actually healthy.
If let's say Lane Johnson gets hurt, does Dickerson go to right tackle?
I don't know. I don't think they put Andre Dillard there. Maybe they put Jordan Mailata there and they put Andre Dillard at left tackle and try that experiment out again. Because we all know Andre Dillard does not like playing right tackle, but Jordan Mailata has played and he's played it pretty well. So maybe that's the direction they go in first.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that they like Dickerson a lot. So if it's like, hey, if there's an injury across this line, you're taking that guy's spot.
Yeah, it's not like he can't do it either. So yeah, maybe he is that guy. Like he just comes right in right away. But I don't know when Landon Dickerson's actually going to come back. Is it going to be by training camp?
That we don't know. Right. Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, we'll even play a preseason game. I'm hoping he does, but we'll see.
All right. June 1st, big day in the NFL. That is on Monday? No, that is on Tuesday is the June 1st date. So we might see some new opportunities, new talent in the free agent pool. come June 1st. And then, of course, the salary cap. You're going to see the Eagles making a bunch of signings for their rookies because they're going to get the salary cap relief on that day as well. We'll have it covered for you here on the Sports Bash. Jeff Kerr, happy Memorial Day weekend, my friend. Good to see you.
Thanks. Once again, I feel like this is going to be the first time in a long time the NFL is going to take like an extended break until Tuesday, June 1st. So I don't think we're going to see much NFL news over the past couple of days. If Julio Jones or Aaron Rodgers really get traded this weekend, I would be shocked.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is out playing the guitar right now, so he's fine.
Yeah, did you hear about the Miles Teller thing? Like, he's out with Miles Teller, and Miles Teller allegedly got punched. Isn't he with Aaron Rodgers right now on vacation?
Something like that, yeah. I had Miles Teller on the show at the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Nice guy.
Hey, Downingtown guy.
Yeah, nice guy. He was a pretty down-to-earth kind of guy. So if he got punched in the face, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I do too. Like, to me, Miles Teller is too likable to get punched in the face. But
he's likable too. He's Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, at Jeff Kerr CBS on Twitter. Give him a follow, and of course, right here on the Sports Bash Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, Jeff, take care, pal.
Yeah, sounds great. Have a good weekend, Mike.